Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for star, R for radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for star, R for radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, and a very good evening and welcome to Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It is the 23rd of November 2022 as we are coming towards the end of the month. My name is Olayomi Koiki and I say good evening, good morning, depending on what part of the world you're joining us from. Sorry we couldn't make it last week for a reason known beyond our control, but we are back again, this evening as we continue, the movement, as we continue the conversation. And I'd like to appreciate everyone that have joined us around the world. I say good evening and welcome to Star Radio UK. This evening, as usual, there's a lot going on around the world. But before we go into the program of tonight, I'd like to appreciate my producer, Mr. Frank David, and Mr. Archie, the rest of the team that are working, very, very tired, on the Star Radio UK. We couldn't come this morning as well, but like I said, as usual, it is always like that sometimes. We like to say good evening to those of you that have joined us on our sister broadcast, and welcome to Star Radio UK. The time is just about 3 minutes past 1800 hours. A lot of people probably do not understand what these, when we say 1800 hours, people are always like, what do you mean by that? It's just the normal, what we use here in UK. It's known as the 24 hours clock, and that literally means that we talk about 1800 hours. We are here till 8:30 in Nigeria. It is exactly 7 p.m. so you are 1 hour ahead of us, for the benefit of those of you that are watching us from Nigeria. My name is Olayomi Koiki, and I'll be your guest. I'll be your host rather, this evening, to take you through, the development of so many things that we like to talk about. We will be discussing issues affecting Nigerians back home. And as we always know, that there is also the indigenous people, known as the indigenous, that would also like to exit Nigeria. And I just hope that my audio is good. Let me check that, while the engineers are also, making sure that everything is going, smoothly. Once again, a very good evening. Good. Okay, we're good to go. We have my first track, that I'm going to be playing. But before we go into that, I'd like to appreciate everyone, that have joined me so far. There's a lot of things going on out there, when we talk about Nigeria, when we talk about the international community, when we talk about things happening around the globe. And there's a lot of things happening around the world, depending on, what you are actually, following. The world is moving, and it's moving very, very fast. And as there's a lot of things that is changing, people are also asking questions pertaining to what has happened in the past. When we talk about, things that have happened, before now, especially during the colonial era. We can now say that as all this development is happening, countries like Nigeria, that has been in existence since 1914, is also now being questioned by so many indigenous people. But we can also say that there are still so many Nigerians that believe that Nigeria, as we have it right now, needs a lot of changes. Good evening to you, Mr. Michael Awe Abidemi Omolola. Good evening to you, and I believe my engineer, the production team will be putting the comment section on the YouTube for Star Radio UK out, so that we can also read from the friends and families of Star Radio UK. I'll be reading some of the comments tonight, and I know a lot of the indigenous people have questions, especially in the last 72 hours. But there's also a lot of Nigerians that are questioning their politicians, that is this the way Nigeria is meant to be for 62 years? Nigeria has been the way it is for 62 years without any kind of changes. And the question is, can we really continue to believe in Nigeria? As election is getting closer, more Nigerians are believing that a new political formation will bring unity and peace and progress to Nigeria. I am not one of those, because I am for the Yoruba nation. I am for the self-determination. And that is where it's going to lead us tonight, because if you have been following us since morning, and when you look at the topic that we have tonight on Niger Voices, on Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, the question is, Supreme Court ruling of the referendum to Scotland, lesson for Nigeria or lesson for the indigenous people? Because the indigenous people are the Biafra, the Arawa, and the remaining ethnic group that was merged together that created Nigeria. As everybody knows that Scotland wants to leave and have their own independent country. But is England going to allow that? Let me play my first track this evening. And I say good evening once again. It is Star Radio UK. You can follow us on all our social media, and you can get it right by putting STARR Radio UK. Make sure you go on the YouTube channel, the Twitter, and likewise, if you're sending money home to your loved ones, remember to use SendWaves. Why is it that the Supreme Court in UK has ruled out that they cannot give in to a referendum in Scotland? We'll be discussing all that tonight. And does that mean that those that have been asking for such, that the Yoruba should go to the court, the Yoruba should do these, or do the other way around? What is your take on that? And the 2023 election, the United States is saying, the US government is saying that they are not backing any candidate for 2023. First and foremost, once again, I say good evening to the team on the Star Radio UK. Good evening to all our friends on Star Radio UK, and welcome as 10 minutes past 6 p.m. tonight. For somebody like me, I no longer believe in Nigeria, and that is where I stand. But the question then is, how far have we moved with the Yoruba movement, the Biafra, the Arewa, the Middle Belt, and the Ninas, as they are also saying that a 1999 election is fraud and it must be taken down? If you've just joined us, it is Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. What is the role of the local government? We have 774 local governments in Nigeria, and the question is, what role is the local government in your own state in Nigeria? Quite a lot of people are skeptical with so many things happening around the Yoruba nation. We'll be discussing that tonight as well. People are asking, what does it mean with the declaration that was produced on the Monday the 21st, I believe, when a declaration of the Yoruba nation? What does that mean to a layman? What does that mean to an average Yoruba man? Why is all this confusion going on between the Yoruba nation movement? We'll be discussing that tonight as well. This is Janet Orilede-mi. The Supreme Court in UK has completely ruled out that there will not be a referendum for the Scottish. What does that mean to a Scottish? I say good evening to my beautiful mother, and I say welcome to Star Radio UK. Are we for self-determination, or are we coup plotter? Are we terrorists? Are we secessionists? What is the difference between a rally and a declaration? A lot of people wants to know as well. Can we have two declarations after one was made? I say good evening to you all, Biafra. Good evening, as we are monitoring the situation of what is happening in the southeast, as well as the Biafra are saying that we are not Nigerians. Britain put this together. What does it mean? What is the meaning of declaration? I'll be giving you a bit of background to that tonight. Good evening to my family, good evening to my immediate family, good evening to my extended family, and I say welcome to Star Radio UK. It is every Wednesday, and this is how we roll out every Wednesday. Sit back and you will learn a lot tonight. Good evening to you, Abidemi Omolola. Good evening to you, Oluwatoyi Omolara Fatima Adekola. Good evening to those on the MixLR, on the Instagram, and the rest of you that have joined us on all the platforms. Good evening to you all. I say welcome to Star Radio UK. What is the update on Ijile, and what do we know so far? We'll be discussing that a little bit tonight. It seems that the Nigerian government has hand in the arrest of our brother, our own Marcus Ijile, that has been arrested in Turkey. And it looks like, from information that reached out to me, that the Nigerian government is involved. I say good evening to you, Evangelist Ayodele of Mightiness. Good evening to those of you that have joined us. My name is Olayomi Koiki, if you're watching this for the very first time. Nicholas Surgeon spoke this morning about the Scottish referendum. What does it mean, and how do we deal with the situation now, as so many things is happening? There's a lot of different voice notes about the Yoruba nation, and as people are asking questions, please do not call. We are not taking any calls. This is what we want. We want our nation, just like so many nations around the world. Pa Ayo Adebanjo spoke and says that the North can't dictate to others. What does that mean to you as a layman? How many of you knows that the United Kingdom, our king, God bless the king, King Charles III, actually gave the first ever state visit to any official president around the world, to South Africa? But I thought President Muhammadu Buhari paid a visit to King Charles. What is there that we don't know? Why was South Africa given that privilege as against Nigeria? There's a lot going on in the world, and you can only get that on Niger Voices on Star Radio UK. I say good evening to those of you that are watching us in another part of Nigeria. My name is Olayomi Koiki. If you're watching me from the southeast of Nigeria, my name is Olayomi Koiki. If you're watching me from the middle belt, I am Olayomi Koiki. And for the Yorubas, I cannot introduce myself because you all know me as Koiki Media. Is there genocide going on in the southeast as more innocent Igbo, or those that believe that they are Biafrans, are being killed? Professor Wole Soyinka, the Nobel laureate, well respected around the world, says, why must you think that if you remove history, that will then take people's minds off Biafra? What does that mean to you? As the political party continue, I saw Peter Obi in Ibadan. A lot of Nigerians are saying that Peter Obi is the best option for the presidency. A lot of people believe that Tinubu is a drug lord. What do you think about that? Atiku is pushing for the presidency just as the rest of them. Omoyele Sowore, do you know that Kwankwaso also got the backing of Afenifere? So we now have three Afenifere. One is backing Peter Obi, which is our chief, Pa Ayo Adebanjo. Pa Fashion-Roti is backing Tinubu. I don't know about the third one, but I saw another Afenifere that is backing Kwankwaso. Who is going to back Omoyele Sowore? My name again is Olayomi Koiki. This is Niger Voices 17 minutes past. Let me enjoy this music and I'll be going into the conversation. There's a lot on the table, but we're going to start with the Scottish referendum. Baba Bewa, oh to Bewa, oh she wanna go, oh to yeah. What about you? Can we get the Yoruba nation just on the spiritual level, or should we also be adding the physical aspect of it? I hope I am not wrong. It seems that the leader of Afenifere was also at Ibadan. Or am I saying something from what I'm looking at here in my picture? Let me look properly and let me make sure I clean my glasses before I tell you whether we saw or we have seen Pa Ayo Adebanjo appearing with Peter Obi in Ibadan in the southwest. Yay! The inflation in Nigeria is going like balloon. Have you seen the new Naira note? There is a lot going on in Nigeria, and we are going to be discussing that in the next 2.5 hours. If you're driving up, increase the volume. Whatever you want to know, you will find out here. Is it a declaration? I will tell you what I know about it, and you would also read out from your comment section, as there is a lot of people that are asking the question, has the Yoruba nation been finally declared? It is called Star Radio UK. I'll be telling you what I'm looking at right now in just about a few minutes. And we say good evening to everyone that have joined us so far. And there is a lot to discuss tonight. Sit back and enjoy the program. And that now takes me into the conversation. We're going to be starting the program tonight with Scotland. What do we know so far? And what have come out from the Supreme Court ruling today with the Scottish that are saying that they want to have a referendum? Nicola Sturgeon, the Scottish First Minister of Scotland under the SNP, There was something that erupted this morning in the United Kingdom, and that has got to do with the Scottish Independent. The Scottish Independent, as we know, is something that has been going on after the 2014, and the Scottish actually lost to become an independent country. But it seems that the Scotland or the Scottish people are not satisfied, and they've decided that we will give it another shot. We will give it another go, because having their own independent country is the only option that they have. But there was a ruling that came out of that, and I want us, especially those of us that have been clamoring that we want a Yoruba nation, a Biafra nation, and so many other of such, to learn from what has taken place in Scotland. Because what took place in Scotland will be a reference point to what we are saying when it comes to self-determination. Everybody wants to have a country of their own. But the question is, how do you have your own country? Because there is a process when it comes to having a country. As we know already, Scotland is already a country. Scotland is already a country. And for us not to understand that there is a difference between those of us that are saying that we want a Yoruba nation, and I'll explain that, linking that to Scotland. Today we have Great Britain, but we have three regions. We have England, we have Scotland, and we have Wales, and they have parliament that is running. In Nigeria today, all we have is we have our own system, but we don't have our political party that support the dissolution or the disintegration of Nigeria. And that makes it different. Because if you are saying that we want a Yoruba nation, the question is, who support the dissolution or the breakup of Nigeria? Is it the people or our politicians? Because our politicians are not in support of Yoruba nation. I'm going to come back to that. But I want us to understand something that took place today in UK, where the Supreme Court made a ruling. Once again, this is one of your finest African and Caribbean radio stations in London. And I say all the time, we must continue to explain the difference of how a country as Scotland is now not given the opportunity for a referendum that they're asking for. Scotland wants this referendum badly, but the UK Supreme Court has ruled that is not going to happen. The question then is, what next for Scottish people?
Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK. In your car, at work, at home, on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7. In your car, at work, at home, on your smartphone.
best radio show.
The court case today will change a lot of things in our own understanding when people say, oh, we should allow a referendum in Nigeria. If the Supreme Court in UK, a civilized country that knows democracy for thousands of years, that knows the rules that guide them, why do you think that a referendum today was rejected by the Supreme Court is the question. Is there something that Westminster does not want to happen? As we have it today, the information that Nicola Sturgeon was disappointed from what was on our Twitter feed this morning. And I'm going to read that to us quickly. While disappointed by it, I respect the ruling of the UK Supreme Court. It doesn't make law, only interpret it. A law that doesn't allow Scotland to choose our own future without Westminster consent exposes as myth any notion of the UK as a voluntary partnership and makes case for referendum. Scottish democracy will not be denied. Today's ruling blocks one route to Scotland voice being heard on independent, but in a democracy, our voice cannot and will not be silent. So my question tonight on Star Radio UK.
The best radio show. The morning show. The best radio show.
Should we also wanted to have gone through this motion that the Yoruba should allow a referendum and allow the federal government to give us a referendum? But we have to go to court before we can get such a referendum. We must first present ourselves to the government, and which is one of the routes that some of our brothers and sisters that believe in the self-determination were doing. Because if you remember that as we speak right now, there is a case in the Abuja High Court that is saying that we want to go out of Nigeria and we don't want it to be violent, we want it to be smooth. And the only option is to go to the High Court demanding that we have a referendum so that we can break away from Nigeria without any crisis. My question tonight is, if Britain, the United Kingdom, as we have it, that knows the law and can interpret the law, because what took place today is not that the court makes that decision, but they are actually interpreting the law. And I'll give us some of the backing of this conversation as we got it on the Star Radio UK. I'm talking about the judgment. And this judgment is a long one, but I'm not going to bore us and go into all the details. But I want us to go along with me tonight, because for those of us that have been campaigning for the last 3 years for the right to self-determination that is allowed, but if we have meant to go through the same route and asking the Federal High Court in Abuja to grant us a referendum, do you think that we would have got that referendum? And the question again is, how are we going to be sure? Because if the UK is not going to give referendum to the Scottish people, should we also then be concerned? And this also gives a lot of room to so many other discussion that is already lingering around. One is the one that a lot of people have been talking about since the last 72 hours, which is the declaration. How does that declaration become firm and to be used to interpret the law to the world? Because as we know right now, we don't have a law in Nigeria because the 1999 constitution is a fraudulent constitution. Let me give us a bit of snip of these judgments from the press summary tonight. And I want you to go along with me. Once again, this is Star Radio UK, and I welcome you all. Referenced by the Lord Advocate of devolution. I want us to take note of that word, devolution. I will give us the meaning of devolution. And when we talk about devolution, good evening to those of you that are watching us from different parts of Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and you're welcome to Star Radio UK. And to all my colleagues on Star Radio UK, I say good evening and welcome. So let me quickly give us the meaning of devolution. What does that mean to a layman when we say something is devolution? What does it mean? What does this mean? Because this is the word that was used to present the final result that is not going to allow Scotland to get their referendum. Devolution is the statutory delegation of power from the central government of a sovereign state to govern at a subnational level, such as a regional or local level. It is a form of administrative decentralization. When you look at Nigeria, what we got in 1960 gave us some power as the regional government in the southwest and the southeast and the northeast until the country started falling apart. When we were negotiating to get independence, nobody gave us what we are currently using now, because what we are using now is not an authentic of what we got during the independence in 1960. So devolution is a very, very powerful word. And that is why the marginalization, one particular ethnic group has refused to give room to the others. And that is why I can confirm that even though we are still working on the image to come on our screen, that yes, the leader of Afenifere, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, was in Ibadan today, side by side with Peter Obi, because he believed that Peter Obi, that is representing the Southeast, and they have the right to the presidency because the presidency have gone around from the north to the southwest, but it has not actually gone to the southeast. And when you look at the election that they are campaigning for in Nigeria, we have three different ethnic groups. We have the north from the Atiku, we have Tinubu from the southwest, and we have Peter Obi from the southeast. So the question on the table is, since the Scottish could not even get a referendum, they are asking for something to give them an independent, not that the Scotland does not have their own parliament, but most of the decision is done here in London, where I have taken you through the journey so many times, right inside the Westminster. And I've been very, very privileged, at least to attend, the Queen's coronation some few years ago. May her soul rest in peace, before she died. Because my mom once worked in the House of Lords. So it was a privilege to see, these, change of, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So let's come back now. So referenced by the Lord Advocate of devolution issues, now that we understand the meaning of transfer or delegation of power to a lower level, just as the Yoruba people, the Biafras, The middle belt are saying that we don't want to be controlled by the center in the FCT that doesn't know what is happening in my local government. We want the power back, but we want it through a referendum. The question then is, as the declaration that we have now going to give us some of those powers? Because a lot of people are asking questions on our declaration that was made on Monday. Does that declaration now start giving us that power to take control of our resources, or are we still going to go through some kind of process before all that we kick in? And for those that are still also asking whether there will be a rally this year, yes, a super rally will be held before the end of the year, even as much as some of you do not even believe anymore, and you have the right to that. So let's go back as we continue to review the judgment of the Supreme Court from here in UK on the Scottish government asking for a referendum for their independence out of United Kingdom. According to Justice Lord Reed, the president, Lord Lloyd Jones, Lord Sales, and Lord Stephens, and Lady Rose. These are those that gave the justice. I'm going to quickly give us some background to the appeal. The Scottish government has drafted a Scottish independent referendum bill, which makes provision for a referendum on the question, should Scotland be an independent country, with a question mark. Under the Scotland Act 1998, the power of the Scottish Parliament to make legislation or its legislative competence is limited. A provision of a bill would be outside the legislative competence of the Scottish Parliament and therefore not law if it relates to matters which have been reserved to United Kingdom Parliament of Westminster Section 29(1) and 2(b). And I want us to take note of that. A very, very powerful one there. Because what we are witnessing right now from these conversations that we are talking about tonight is something that means a lot to different people. The Scotland that wants to have an independent country cannot do it without going through a kind of a bill. But the final say is still going to happen in Westminster. I want us to take note of that. This is reference to those of us that are campaigning for the self-determination out of Nigeria. Once again, this is Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. So let's go into the conversation again. These reserves matters include the union of the kingdoms of Scotland and England, and the Parliament of the United Kingdom, Schedule 5, Paragraph 1b and c. In this reference, the Lord Advocate, the senior law officer of the Scottish government, asked the court whether the provision of the proposed bill, which provide for a referendum on the Scottish independence, will be outside the legislative competence of the Scottish Parliament, because it relates to either or both of the reserved matters of the Union or the United Kingdom Parliament. This is a legal question about the Scottish Parliament power to make legislation under the Scotland Act. The court is not being and could not be asked to give a view on a distinct political question of whether Scotland should become independent from the rest of the United Kingdom. Just as a lot of us, I'm trying to reference these to the movement of the Yoruba nation, the Biafra and the Middle Belt, and likewise the Arewa and the remaining that wants to go out of Nigeria. But let us remember that there is still a lot of Nigerians that disagree of the disintegration of the Union. So if all this is happening in Scotland, in UK, where matters and decision is made from the Parliament in Westminster, what then makes us think that the Nigerian government that refused to even respond back to the letter that we sent to the government, you can now start putting the dot and asking yourself those internal questions that, are we really going to get our freedom just without any kind of confrontation? And we got to be very, very honest. Nobody wants any confrontation, but can we use the super rally to push for our demand and then declare? But some say that since we have already got a declaration on Monday, we might not need to have another declaration, because that declaration that was given on Monday will give us a soft landing to what is going to happen when the super rally is going to call. But the question then people are asking is this a genuine declaration? And is this a declaration that was something that was put together by those that are campaigning? I'm talking about the leaders of the movement. Or is this just that a declaration from one of the leaders, and the remaining two leaders still have the access right to declare a Yoruba nation during or after the rally? This is a question that is now going around the Yorubas that are asking for self-determination. We're going to come back to that. Once again, this is Star Radio UK. We are still reviewing the Supreme Court judgment on whether Scotland can have a referendum. And I've listened to Nicola Sturgeon on I'll now respond, because she was going to give a press statement at 11:30 this morning, and it seems she has agreed that maybe there might not be a referendum. But the Scottish people are not happy, and I've been following the comment, and I'm going to be reading some of those comments, just as the Yorubas are not happy with a lot of things happening among the Yoruba movement, because some people believe that this movement is now so much compromised or divided, and we got to be honest. Because people are saying that if we want a Yoruba nation and there is no unity among all the leaders, are we truly going to get a Yoruba nation, or are we deceiving the people? Because a lot of people are asking this question. And for those that are not in line with what I'm saying, they are the indigenous people that was put together by the British government in 1914, known as the Yorubas. They have been in existence for thousands of years, but the British government during the colony put together all the 374 ethnic groups known as Nigeria today, and some of those indigenous people are now asking for a right to self-determination. And the argument that I'm going to continue to read in what the Scottish was trying to do was to link it with Quebec. Quebec is another indigenous people in Canada asking for self-determination. And let's go into it more. It's getting more interesting, is it? Looking at how the world decide who have an independent country or not. Should we say that we have declared, and that means that the world must listen to our declaration and nothing is going back? But would that be the final? Definitely not. But there is a lot of people that are becoming a little bit skeptical about the declaration that took place on Monday. Some believe that that declaration is valid and it must be used around the world, and we will continue to wait and see what next after the declaration, prior to what is going to happen before the end of the year. What an interesting time to be alive. Star Radio UK. So let me go back quickly into these, appeal background. And I hope you are taking note, because it will also help those of us that we have been educating for the last 3 years that getting a freedom is not going to be an easy task. If we're going to go through some of these routes, it might take another 100 years, because the law will interpret whatever favors the law. I have one of my friend brother that called himself the law, and each time I see him, I say the law. He say yes sir. When it comes to law, and if the Yorubas are saying that we will go according to the international law to get our right to self-determination, I don't know how long it will take. But if we come out in 5 million out on the street in the Yoruba territory for a peaceful protest, that is not what the government is thinking, because the government is thinking that Our protest might be violent. Nobody has ever said the protest will be violent. What we are saying is 5 million Yoruba people on the street of every corner of Yoruba land. That will then give us that right to push the international community to tell us that we don't have the right to self-determination. So there's a lot of people saying different things, and I've listened and listened. I've laughed to some of the voice notes. It looks like everybody is now sitting somewhere and releasing an audio. Interesting time to be alive. Let's go back to this background to the appeal. The power of the Scottish Parliament were not in issue during the 2014 referendum on the Scottish independence. And I want us to take note of this. In 2014, when the Scottish had their referendum, it was something that Westminster gave to them to lobby something back. They always say, give something to take something. And that was what the previous Prime Minister did. But this time around, the Prime Minister is not giving that, because the Prime Minister does not believe that there should be a union dissolution between Scotland and England. Even though as of today, we have more English MP at about 533 as against 59, if I'm right with my number, or 53 of the Scottish Member of Parliament in Parliament here in UK. And that means almost the same thing that we see in Nigeria, where the northern part of Nigeria has more numbers in the Senate and House of Assembly. And somebody like the former governor of Ogun State, Ibikunle Amosun, says the reason why we could not get a state police is some of our colleagues are not going to vote for it. So for those that are saying that Tinubu should become the president, Atiku should become the president, Peter Obi, they will then give us what we want. For those of us that are campaigning for dissolution out of Nigeria, it is not going to happen, because the North has the number in the Senate and the North has the number in the House of Representatives. And even the North is saying that they have the numbers when it comes to the population, and they will decide who becomes the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What an interesting time to be alive. So let's go quickly into it. So I've given you a background that when Scotland wanted to have their referendum in 2014, they didn't have to go through this process. But because the UK government, which is number 10 down the street, is not giving them any more, oh, we're going to allow you to have a referendum. The 2014 referendum, they lost. But it seems that more Scottish is now saying, oh, you actually deceived us. You did not tell us that you are not going to allow the whole of UK to remain in the European Union, because people pull out. 16 million Brits voted out of the European Union, while the Scottish still wants to remain member of the European Union. They want to have, but it's not going to happen. So the question to those of us that are listening, and I know we have a lot of people that are well learned and educated, is 3 years ago, I was saying, are we going to get our freedom using all the route of the legal means? Some even say we should take the British government to the court here in UK. Maybe we should have done so, cost us 20,000 or 30,000 pounds, and maybe we could have won the case or not. I wouldn't have been able to tell you. But one thing I can say tonight is a referendum for the Scottish people is not coming anytime soon. The powers of the Scottish Parliament were not an issue during the 2014 referendum of the Scottish independence. And the reason for that is, this is because in 2013, an order in council under section 32 of the Scotland Act modified the definition of reserved matters to enable the Scottish Parliament to pass a 2014 referendum legislation. The United Kingdom government is currently unwilling to agree to the making of another order in council. And I want you to take note of that. The UK allowed it in 2014 or 2013 before the referendum in 2014. But the UK government is not ready to give it again. Why is the UK government a little bit skeptical or worried that should we give the Scottish this what was it called again? This order in council. Are we going to lose out? Are we going to see more Scottish people voting and saying, you don't have to be a control from the parliament in Westminster anymore. We will have our own independent country. The question then is, who is going to give us an independent Yoruba nation if we do not take actions that would allow us to be free from Nigeria? I hope this is making sense. Why is all this happening, this year after the death of the Queen? It seems that after the death of the late Queen Elizabeth, there's been a lot of countries that are now saying we want to have our independence. Jamaica, some of the Caribbean countries, and the rest of them, It's coming up to 8 minutes before 1900 hours, which is just 8 minutes before 7 p.m. The United Kingdom government is currently unwilling to agree to making of another order in council to facilitate another referendum on the Scottish independence. The Lord Advocate reference was made under paragraph 34 of Schedule 6 to the Scotland Act. The Advocate General for Scotland, the Scottish law officer of the United Kingdom government, raises two preliminary issues, namely whether the court should answer the reference. There are consequently three questions which the court must consider. I want you to follow me with these. The first is the question referred by the Lord Advocate, a devolution issue. Remember, we give you the meaning of the transfer or delegation of power to a lower level, especially by the central government to the local. It's not like the one in Nigeria where your governor controls your local government and there's a lot of poverty among all Nigerians at the local government level. Let's go back. So now that we got the first one, if not, it can be subject of a reference under paragraph 34 of Schedule 6, which would mean that the court does not have the jurisdiction to decide it. The second question is, even if it is a devolution issue, even if we give you the power to the bottom, low level, should the court exercise its discretion to decline to accept the reference? And the last one is, if the court accepts the reference, how should it answer the question the Lord Advocate has referred to? And this is the judgment. If you've just joined us, we are referencing back to the Supreme Court of United Kingdom judgment on whether Scottish should be allowed a new referendum, and that has been nullified. So for those of us that are saying maybe we should have go to the court, take the British to the court and argue the 1914 amalgamation, remember that the law will be interpreted, or the law will be done according to whatever the law is. So if we are not going to do so, now that we are saying that we should push the final push to the Yoruba Nation movement, should we make sure that we get it right? And how do we get it right? By putting decisions that would either not favor the federal government, that would not favor the international community, that would also allow them to let us come onto the round table outside the country in Nigeria, which was what was proposed by the leader of the Yoruba self-determination when I go back into the letter. Because things were written in that letter to the federal government, which I'm just going to give you a bit of summary, just like a recap, a refresh. Consequently, Mr. President, this letter on behalf of all our Yoruba people, number one, clearly says, formally gives you notice of our decisions of overwhelming majority of Yoruba nation and people to exercise our right to self-determination, to have our independent sovereign country separated from the country of Nigeria, just as Scotland rather was trying to do the same thing, but it has now been like, you know, I don't know what they're going to do, but the Scottish people are not pleased tonight. I'm going to come to that. Number 2, formally informs you that we desire, we wish, we would love to commence this process of self-determination officially so as to establish our independent and sovereign country as soon as possible, hopefully in a constructive dialogue. I hope you get that word. We are not asking for violence. Nobody has said that we will be violent. Professor Akintoye have never said so. Chief Mrs. Modupe Onitiri have never said so. Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo have never said so. And none of the different organizations representing the Yoruba self-determination movement from the Global Directorate have never said that this is going to be violent. From the Yoruba self-determination movement, I've never said it's going to be violent. From the Yoruba Central Office, I've never said it's going to be violent. From the Yoruba One Voice, I've never said it's going to be violent. The question then is, how then do we then move forward when the federal government refuses to allow a dialogue? Because the federal government has not given room for a dialogue between us and them, so as to establish our independent and sovereign country as soon as possible, hopefully in a constructive dialogue with the government of Nigeria. Number 3, the Yoruba self-determination is committed to a peaceful approach, which is exactly what has been campaigned for the last 3 years. A peaceful approach to the right of the indigenous people, of the Yoruba people, to exit out of Nigeria so that we can have our own nation. And if we have now said that we have declared out of Nigeria, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to me? And how are we then going to move a declaration if that was what took place on Monday, as against the other things that would happen? But a lot of people are asking questions. Was this declaration something that was done individually or was done between the remaining leaders? And a lot of questions will need to be answered. There's nothing wrong for a declaration. We have already said that we would exit Nigeria since the last 3 years. Nobody said so just 2 days ago. Nobody just said so on Monday during the declaration. We have all been campaigning for the last 3 years that we want to exit Nigeria. So at some point, there will be a declaration. Whether it was on Monday, whether it is going to happen before the end of the year, it does not matter whenever it's going to happen. But the question people are asking is, how genuine was this declaration done to support the movement, carrying along everybody, or is this just one-man show? Because if it's not a one-man show and if it's a declaration for all the Yoruba people, then it will be something that will be embraced by every Yoruba without anybody questioning it. But since people have started questioning that declaration, it is now the right for us to put it out there for record purpose. Was this declaration done in sincerity? Was this declaration done in carrying along every Yorubas, whether we even agree? Because remember that today, Pa Ayo Adebanjo is in Ibadan campaigning for Peter Obi. So what do you say to them if you do not carry them along? And that is something that needs to be clarified quickly. Because nobody is saying that we will not get a declaration. But if we are saying that the declaration is valid and has been done, the question then is, how do we move forward? Okay, is it then going to be Baba Akintoye is still going to declare his own as well? Or was Baba Akintoye carried along? Was CSI carried along? Was all the remaining different groups carried along? Because this is not just a one-man show. It is meant to be for every one of us to decide how we want. We are not in a military coup era. Nobody is now in a military coup. Even we have argued that Nigerians that are being suppressed today in Nigeria by the government presently just as information got to me that the federal government is involved in the arrest of our brother Ijile Marcos in Turkey. And that came to me from those that are very close to the ongoing issue with Ijile, that the federal government of Nigeria knows about the arrest of Ijile in Turkey. He has been to court. I've been able to get a bit of background to the story, and no offense has been pinned to him. So we then need to ask the question, how do we get him out if the federal government was the one involved? Let us remember that Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped and renditioned back to Nigeria. Should even our brother has committed any offense, and the government wants him, he must be given a fair hearing in Turkey, where he is currently based. Let's go back to the Scottish conversation, because I still have some few points that I want you to take note. And as we are discussing these, I want us to remember that the Yoruba nation, everybody has the right to the self-determination, and everybody will ask questions. And we from the media are trying to answer all your questions as much as possible, because in the last 72 hours we have been bombarded with so many questions to what has taken place. So let's go back to this judgment from the government here in UK. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to Star Radio UK, your finest. I'm not reading any comment now because I'm focused on the screen, but we will try to pick some of your comments later on in the course of the program. Judgment is where I want to talk about now, that now is giving headache. This judgment is giving a lot of concern to the Scottish people. So everybody will be concerned if things is not clear. So it is not about, oh, because we love our leaders and we cannot question them. We're going to question them because we want to know, as the judgment has been done in UK, a lot of Scottish people have been on the social media in the last few hours, and they are now questioning their prime minister or their minister, the first minister, because he's the first minister, Nicola Sturgeon, about these decisions by the UK government, because some of them are really adamant to exit, just as we want to go as well. And if you're asking questions, we gotta have to try and give you as much, answer that we know. So this is the judgment. In a judgment, the court, and this judgment was by all the judges that I mentioned at the beginning. The court answers the question before it as follows. First, the question referred by the Advocate General is a devolution issue, which I have given you the meaning of devolution. We don't have to go into that anymore. Which means that the court has jurisdiction to decide it. Take note of that. Secondly, the court should accept the reference. And thirdly, the provision of the proposed bill, which makes provision for a referendum on the question, should Scotland be an independent country, does relate to matters which have been reserved to the Parliament of the UK. Take note of that word. So it is only the UK Parliament that makes decision. Who is going to make decision for us to exit Nigeria? Is it the United Kingdom? Is it the European Union? Are they the African Union, or the Asian countries, or the United Nations? Who is going to make that decision? Because the reason why the Scottish people are not getting a referendum, because the final say is still in the Parliament. not by the Scottish people to say, oh, we're going to give you a referendum, and that referendum takes, even if they give them the referendum, it is not authentic. And that is something that we must listen to. As much as we love the declaration, the question is it going to be authentic enough to prove to the international community? Because it is us as the Scottish people have now said, oh, go and give us a referendum. And the First Minister say, oh, we love the Scottish people because you love me. I'm going to give you a referendum. But would the world accept that referendum? Or would the British government accept that referendum? And this is where we want to make sure that everybody opens their ears and listen. Because it is not about the declaration anymore now. It is more about, since we have a declaration, how do we make sure that that declaration will be accepted by the United Nations? And if they're not going to accept it, then what and how do we take back the sovereignty of the land? How are we going to take control of the resources? Because as we speak right now, Nigeria is still operating. As far as we're concerned, the international community does not know that we have declared a Yoruba nation. Maybe we are presenting our case to them just as we have been doing. We've taken the Nigerian government to the ICC. We are telling the international community to give us a recognition, but does not mean that they will give us a declaration. So we have to definitely do the declaration. But how do we then make sure that whatever the declaration, if there was a declaration, as we have all been reading and hearing in the last 72 hours, how do we then make sure that Finland accept our declaration and support us even with a military might, so that since we are just a new nation, we haven't got our own military. We might say we have warriors, but we are talking about a full force military that can help us defend our border because of the the criminality that is taking place around our borders today. How do we talk to South Korea? How do we talk to Japan? How do we talk to countries to make sure that they would then give us the backing? Because you need countries, at least from what I think, if I remember to my memory, you will need at least about 10 countries to welcome you as a nation, or probably maybe a bit less, to say, welcome Yoruba nation. And those countries would definitely have to issue us a letter to back that up. But that does not guarantee our entry into United Nations. I'm not concerned about that, because there are countries around the world that are not members of the United Nations and they are operating as a country. Because there will be one country that would then veto our entry into United Nations, just as Taiwan is being vetoed by China today. So I hope you can see that there is a lot going on that needs to be discussed. A Yoruba nation is the guarantee for the safety of our people, whether as we are going out on our daily basis, making sure that we have a strong economy, we have a good tower relationship with countries and our neighbors. We want to make sure that we have good relationship with other African countries. We want to make sure that when we travel as Yoruba citizens, we are respected. And that is why we want to reclaim back our right. I'm going to read some of your comments later, but let me just quickly wrap up with the judgment. Does relate to matters which have been reserved to the Parliament of the United Kingdom under Scotland Act. In particular, it relates to a reserved matters of the Union of the Kingdom of Scotland and England, just as we are saying that our union with Nigeria is not working. And the Parliament of the United Kingdom, accordingly, in the absence of any modification of definition of reserved matters by an order in council, which the British government is not giving them anymore, the Scottish Parliament does not have the power to legislate for a referendum for the Scottish independence. You can see that the world that we live in has been coined to favor some, because all these reasons why Scotland does not have this power, because the power is not in their control. So if anybody is saying that the Yoruba nation that we are asking for, the argument then on some of if Tinubu gets there, he will have the power and he can change everything and he will give us a Yoruba nation. But what I do not know is there are some laws that would also not allow Tinubu, Atiku, Peter Obi, Kwankwaso, or Omoyele Sowore when they become the president of Nigeria, because the law will not give them the access to allow not even a restructured Nigeria. What an interesting time that we live today. So those of us that are saying that the only push is we come out for a peaceful protest for 10 days, 20 days, but people are saying that how can you keep people on the street for 10 days? How do you feed them? How are you going to, but do you want to remain enslaved or do you want to get your freedom? And if we have declared in 72 hours, because it's just 72 hours, the declaration was only on Monday. If we have declared our nation, what are we then going to start to do quickly? Whether as independent of our leaders, as it has been done on Monday, or also as a joint venture, because everybody knows that it seems that there is some kind of, disunity amongst them. We've not heard from Professor Akintoye in the last 72 hours. He has not condemned it. He has not said anything. Chief have not said anything. If not, I would have released a statement, because I am the spokesman for Chief Sunday Igboho. So the question then is, if we've got a declaration, how do we make sure that we use that declaration to push the remaining part? Or how do we then come together in one formidable force? I want you to take that and remember that when we come back. So the Scottish Independent will only have order in council by the Parliament in Westminster, and they're not going to give them that. Now, reason for the judgment. Issue number one is the question referred by the Lord Advocate a devolution issue. Since I've explained to you the meaning of devolution is just giving power to the bottom. Some of your governors take control of the money that is meant for the local government, and they keep it, and the local government chairman does not have money to operate his local government. And you expect a functioning country. And that then takes me back to what is a local government? According to the Local Government Association here in England. What is local government? Local government touches the lives of everybody every day, but not in Nigeria today. We have 774 local government. I bet you if any one of them is functioning to know who was giving birth and who has not eaten and who died and who is not going to school among all our children. Whether in the northeast, the northwest, the north central, whether in the middle belt, the southeast, or the southwest, the local government does not have a clue. So, a devolution of power that should have been given to the local government is being controlled by all your governors. And I hope you are making sense to some of the reason why we say Nigeria cannot continue like this. We have 133 million Nigerians that are in abject poverty today. And the reason for that is your local government does not touch lives every day. But here in England, even as Scotland is asking for a referendum, their local government or London Borough is making sure that they touch life every blessed day. Should any of our children doesn't go to school here in UK or in England where I am based, you will get a phone call from the school authority trying to find out why that boy or girl was not in school. Don't even think about that in Nigeria today, because you don't have a functioning local government. So in just about 20 or just about 5 minutes, we're going to wrap up with these, and going to now talk about, again, like I said, information reaching me as I have it now says that the federal government has hand in the arrest of Marcos Ijile in Turkey. Let's go back now. Only a devolution issues can be referred to the court under paragraph 34 of Schedule 6 to the Scotland Act. The term devolution issue is defined by paragraph 1 of Schedule 6 under paragraph 1F. It includes any other questions arising by virtue of this act about reserved matters 13 to 14. The court concluded that the question referred by Lord Advocate falls within the description and is therefore a devolution issue which the court has jurisdiction to decide. In reaching this conclusion, the court held first, the question referred to, the question is one arising by the virtue of the Scotland Act, because it is a question which arises under section 31(1) for the person wishing to introduce the bill into the Scottish Parliament. The person is required on or before the bill's introduction to give a statement confirming that in their view the provisions of the bill will be within the legislative competence of the Scottish Parliament. Secondly, the existence of the separate scheme for scrutiny of bills for legislative competence by the court in section 33 of the Scotland Act does not prevent a reference from being made under paragraph 34 of Schedule 6 in relation to the proposed bill. Quite a lot of things that is got to do with the law. But it is good to know, because these are going to be some of the argument, because whatever the Yoruba is also doing at some point will be interpreted, whether in the international law or our neighboring law, that is the African Union. So I'm not going to bore us too much again. But let me now quickly, before we move away from this section of the conversation, some of the response of the Scottish people. How have they been able to manage these information that came out in the last almost roughly since 10 o'clock? I got the news. So let me give you some of the response of the Scottish people, and then we move on quickly away from these. But remember that I am just trying to link these with the independent that we're asking for, as the argument that some of our elites says we can't get Yoruba nation if we don't go to court. We have to take the British government to court. We have to do this, we have to do that. But everybody knows that that is not going to give us a Yoruba nation. You don't get Yoruba nation by saying you take the Nigerian government to court. Which court? Local court, where they refuse to free Nnamdi Kanu? I don't understand. So some of the response that have been coming very fast from the Union of the Scottish people. I got this one, says the UK government has 533 English member of parliament, while the Scottish have 59 member of parliament. The Wales have 40 members of parliament, and the Northern Irish have 18. That is not a union, that is English rule. I didn't say so. This is coming from a Twitter handle, Tahood Lady at Tamudur. Let's read more. Again, this person says at Fat Wiggy, thought on Supreme Court ruling. Number one, first thought, it breaches the United Nations chapter relating to the right of self-determination, just as we have been saying as well for those of us that have been following the Yoruba Nation movement. Secondly, it boxes UK into corner. They can't deny and deny the right to a vote when electorate of Scotland continue to return at both Holyrood and Westminster pro-independent in the referendum majority. Number three, it means any concept of the UK being a voluntary union of nations is blown out of water. Number four, should England decide to be independent, who is asked for permission? That one is very, very tough one. Let me read more. This is coming from Egnigas. The ruling is only on the right to referendum, not on the right to independence itself. We could declare, and I want us to take note of this, we could declare unilateral independence even today, just as we have done on Monday. So a declaration is not something that cannot be done. So nobody is arguing that. But what people are asking questions, and these are questions that we're getting from people, is How genuine is it, and how authentic is this declaration? So today, which will make all these points moot, we just want the legitimacy. So I'm going to take one more. According to Ricky Caro, which is at Ricky Car 69392149, says, and I quote on Twitter, "So this answer the conundrum: when is a union not a union, but never colonialism, with a question mark, because one partner in the union has absolute sovereignty over the other. Divorce court takes precedent note." I love that. So if I take us back to the letter that we sent to President Muhammadu Buhari, should they have agreed for us to have a dialogue? In conclusion, Mr. President, along the lines of our peaceful approach and respect for the government and laws of Nigeria, we reiterate our wish to engage in direct negotiation with the federal government of Nigeria. As the final stretch of our peaceful route towards the realization of the Yoruba nation self-determination and the establishment of the Yoruba sovereign nation state. For this purpose, we propose as follows. This was what we proposed to the federal government. But the federal government did not even look into the letter. Is the federal government going to recognize our declaration? They don't have to. But it is the steps that we take now that will determine if the government would then have no other option, maybe to fall back on a dialogue, or the Yorubas will be on the street as at the time we are told to do so. That number one, that the Nigerian federal government, in view of the serious urgency of the situation, shall within the coming days, but not later than Friday, September 30, which is almost about a month or 2 months ago now, 2022, inform us that they have grievously agreed to our proposal for negotiation, and that they have set up a negotiation team that will meet and dialogue with our Yoruba nation representatives. That as soon as we receive the communication from Nigeria government, we shall forward the list of our negotiation delegate to the Nigerian government. Number three, that the Nigerian government negotiation team and our negotiation team shall meet to appoint co-chairpersons and to agree on a date for the first negotiation meeting, the procedure and the venue. That the ECOWAS, the African Union, and the United Nations shall be invited to send observer to our negotiation. It is not too late now for the government to negotiate with the Biafra and the Yorubas that want to have the right to self-determination. It is never too late for negotiation. Mr. President, we eagerly and most respectfully await your response. He never responds anyway. So the question tonight, and I can say quite a lot. Let's read what Otumba Spencer said. Mr. Koiki, well done, my brother. Please talk about my monetary, about declaration she makes, please. My brother, make it clear to all original Yoruba throughout the whole world. Kudos to you, my brother. So I'm going to read some of your comment. We have a lot of that. Let me see if we have any comment coming from the chat. Yeah, we have a lot on the Star Radio UK. Let me quickly welcome you. Maze God, I say good evening to you on Star Radio UK. Adesina Adeyemo, good evening to you. Titi Olu, good evening to you. Adeni Olawale, good evening to you. Jones Guanzo, good evening to you. You say, where is Mary? Who is Mary? I'm a bit lost there. Let's look at some of the other people that are online with us. Good evening to you, as I wish you, a very good evening. My monetary says no country will come out now until our interim government is on the ground. Then the countries can roll in their support and congratulations. Thank you so much. And that is coming from Olawepo M. Larry. He also said that it is other arrangement to actualize on the ground planning towards our government force. Thank you so much. Good evening, Oyeyemi Oladimeji. And good evening to you, Obanlange Akinwande Adebayo. You say, God bless you, my brother. God bless you too. Oduduwa Ifenikalo TV. You say, good evening. Christina Amadi. You say, yes, congratulations. Evangelist Ayodele, you say, I always love your settings, sir. You are too much. I love you as well. Oluwatoyin Omolara, you also send the love. I take that love into my heart. I hope my wives are not going to be upset. Good evening to you, Oluwatoyin. And now let me read some of the other comments. We have a lot of platforms, so we have to take our time. Comfort Adeleye, good evening to you, ma'am. Idowu Michael, Eku Shell Yoruba Nation, Mr. Koiki, Yoruba Nation is not negotiable, definitely not. Abayomi, you put up a thumbs up. Amin Bolaji says, good evening to Koiki Media team and everyone on this platform. Abraham, you say, good evening to you. Good evening to you, first. Fatusi Elizabeth, you say, well done, my brother, White Lion. Elijah Adiola Akikbelu, you say, Yoruba Nation, no going back. Idowu Michael say, keep the good job, Mr. Koiki. We can't wait to celebrate. I can't wait as well because the celebration must be done this year. Sunday Afolabi, we are ready to fight for our right. Can't you hear what they are saying about their overrated detention of crude oil in Gombe? I saw that the president was in Borno yesterday. There was also a terrorist attack where Boko Haram killed about 34 security operatives. May their soul rest in peace, as there is more insecurity in Nigeria. Isaac Agbola said, thank God, oh, Yoruba Nation, in truth we stand. Orile the Yoruba Nation, Afar Easy, watching directly from Idonye, Igongon area, Ibarapa North. I greet every one of you. Mukibu Goinibe. Afijilo Williams, not only every day that he think about life at all. Gold Akomalafe, no president can give us what we want. It is better we organize our mega rally in support of our declaration made. Sunday Afolabi say, yes, security vote of about 500 million yearly has never been utilized or accountable. None of them is going to tell you what they do with that. Aziz Bamigboye, you say, we don't want to be to the any white colony after Yoruba independence. That is the game. My monetary play to my own understanding. Wow, thank you so much. Elijah Idiatu Muraino, you say, Equato, sir. You also send me a love. Wow, I take that love from you, ma. Aziz Bamboye say, yes, declaration is valid. We can't submit our freedom to any nation. Gold Akomolafe, you sent me a rose flower. I'm going to keep that and make sure I put water on it so that it doesn't get dry. You also say Equato. Grace Olushoto, is that a rabbit? You also send me a love. So many love tonight. You know, I don't know what my wives and the children are going to be doing with so many of this love. I have to make sure I keep them. Bola Tito Aderito say, good evening, my brother. God bless you. I'm just catching up with some of your comment quickly. Yaya Basirat say, good bless you, my brother. God bless you too, ma. And I guess I've almost finished that. Koiki, how can we download the background music? You can get that from YouTube. Type in Janet, and you can put Ori Lady, and it's going to pop up. Adeyemi says, Koiki, okay, already man. Good evening to you, Alaji Yaya Ibrahim. Muftar Jimo, good evening. Quite a lot of people, you know. Good evening to you. Somebody say good evening, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, aka White Lion. David Shotunde, if I will mention your name, don't be upset. We're just trying to make sure we carry everybody. Adeyemi says, always with you, White Lion, my man of the year 2022. Follow you, Samuel. Good evening to you. And I think we've done with that. So I guess we have a lot of people on the other YouTube. James Lincoln says, the statement I expect is that we are in support of the declaration, not to counter the declaration. Nobody is countering the declaration. It is a question that a lot of people are asking. And from the media perspective, we have the right to also say exactly what people are saying. So nobody is countering the declaration. The question they're asking is, was this declaration in conjunction with all the leaders, or was it just something done single-handedly? And how do we move, you know, this declaration to the next level? So that is the question. We are not blogging here. We are, please, Koiki, don't be confused. We are still going to fight. You are not serious. Wale, you say, if you're expecting perfect ending of Yoruba Nation, you will not get a result. That means you have to fight. Okay, Ojora Elizabeth, our mother says, bros, the declaration is one part of the freedom because the Nigeria is a big lion that needs to be dealt with. And if anybody have listened to my show this morning, you will understand I've explained more than I can explain to so many of you. Our mother, Liz Dada, you also sent a message. Quite a lot is coming. Pastor Mo say, authentic, just authentic. And I love that as well. Comfort says our mother, good evening, Mr. Yoruba nationalist. I believe the declaration should be a joint effort of our leaders and not one person. You can see that people are asking questions. James Lincoln, nobody is challenging that, but people are asking questions and nobody is saying the statement is that you are in support of the declaration. Nobody's countering them, but they're asking question. And as you can see from the comment section, Yoruba Nation was declared. Why do we still have Nigerian police and governors ruling Yoruba land? Please answer me, sir. Okay, you can say so many questions there. We can't take phone calls, but I'm reading some of your comments. Keep it coming. I'll try to pick them up. It's a lot of comment that is coming through. Bimileke, good evening to you. Dr. Benjamin, good evening to you. I'm reading all the comments. Dr. Benjamin said, but the declaration on Monday was a little disappointing with a sad face. I mean, most Yoruba don't even know it happened. Well, like we say, not everybody knew when they were getting independent. Nobody knows when they do coup, and it is not that everybody would know. But as we are now going into the 72 hours, more people are finding out that there was a declaration that was made on Monday. James Lincoln also said, if anyone is waiting for Professor Akintoye, you will wait tired. Yeah. That is Dr. Benjamin. I honestly believe with Nigeria and Britain, we can only be free when wahala full everywhere. Something must attract global eyes and audience media. Okay? James Lincoln, you also say, if anyone truly wants their freedom, declaration shouldn't be their problem. Everyone can do their declaration. And we have been doing that for 3 years, because if we're all saying we want out of Nigeria, it has been done 3 years. Somebody also said to me that somebody took my mind back, you know, because I've been listening to I can't take all your calls at the moment because everybody's calling. They want to find out as many information, and it is difficult to now answer everybody. But if you have watched our broadcast from Monday up till the one I did this morning at average of 2 hours or thereabout from Monday, which I have been on, and I've been talking about this declaration, as so many people are asking questions, just as you can see in the comment section. The reply is that Baba Akintoye is writing letters. Okay, I don't know what that is. Let me read that out before I go. Okay, what is the roadmap to take us out of Nigeria? The reply is that Baba Akintoye is writing letters. Okay, it's still part of the roadmap. Nigeria is a big elephant, and like I've said in the last 3 years, it must be massacred, you know, in a way that it will favor everybody. Fuel is now 220 liters per liter. It's coming. It's actually 7:37 p.m. UK. King Mirado, that's what you said. So quite a lot of comments. I cannot pick all those comments, but I will try to go along. I pray Baba Akintoye is in support of the declaration. We would have to wait. I've not heard from him, so we'll have to wait and see what happened from Benin Republic. Mr. Koiki, what about us in River State? Can we start moving to Yoruba land? We have told you that since almost 3 months. America is telling their people to run away from Abuja. So if you're still in River State and you have the means to stay there, it is entirely up to you. But if you think you don't have to stay there, please start making your way back to Southwest. You can follow us on Star Radio UK on all the social media handle. Once again, as we are now going to be talking about some other issues as well. There's a lot going on. And that lot that is going on is the reason why we are here tonight, to discuss it, to talk about it. It is now clear that the Nigerian government removed history from the school curriculum can never kill Biafra dream. That was coming from Professor Wole Soyinka over the weekend. Ibe Chinedu, good evening to all the Biafrans. I say good evening to everyone on Instagram. Quite a lot of you tonight as well. Good evening to you. The government, probably not this government, but we've seen that Biafra war was a genocide where about 5 million innocent people were killed. But something is, who think in their mind that people will just forget what happened during the Biafra war? Who in their right mind is thinking that the Biafra war will just be a forgotten war? And that is the question tonight. Once again, good evening to my producer and all the friends and family of Star Radio UK. Wednesday, 23rd of November 2022, as we're coming up to 2000 hours. We still have about half an hour or 40 minutes to go in this program. So removing the history is what I want to discuss now. Was it a good thing? Was it a good thing to remove history from Nigeria? Was it a good thing that history was removed. What is your own take that history was removed from Nigeria? And since history was removed from Nigeria, can we say that Nigerians missed a lot from what happened? Since history was removed, did that change anything in Nigeria in the last 62 years? And was it done purposely to suppress a particular ethnic groups like the Biafrans? Because if the government removed history, was it a deliberate act? Was it a deliberate act? And I got a press statement here that have just been sent to me. And we're going to read that press statement and we come back to the history that we are discussing tonight. Once again, my name is Olayomi Koiki, and this is Star Radio UK. Why did Baba Adebanjo present at Ibadan in support of Peter Obi, the Labour Party? What is your take on that? Good evening, Gani Oloyede. A tree can never make forest. The main declaration is coming soon after our super rally. Benjamin says, after declaration, Nigerian activities in Yoruba land is illegal. And I have said so in so many of my broadcasts as well. But how do we... I'm going to tell you there's a message that have now come from YSDM regarding this declaration. I'm going to read that out, but I'm just getting that. Good evening to you once again, Christina Amadi, and welcome on board. We all want to celebrate, but people are asking the question, this celebration, if they would say, Mr. Koiki, this your program give a lot of politician headache. Okay, now let me quickly read this press release that have just come to my desk as we speak right now from the Secretary, Directorate of Diplomacy, YSDM, and the Press Secretary to Professor Banji Akintoye, the Yoruba leader. And it says like this: Re-declaration of the Yoruba nation. We, the official Yoruba self-determination movement, wish to respond to the claims that the Yoruba nation has been declared. Full stop. Such claims were circulated widely on multiple social media platforms on the 20th of November 2022. These claims are false and not only misleading, but having the dangerous potential to destabilize the true and legal roots of self-determination. Full stop. Since the beginning of our struggle, 2018, we have sought to employ only peaceful method, utilizing the legal instrument outlining in international law and the Nigerian Constitution provision for self-determination. These methods have not changed. The only person authorized to speak on behalf of the Yoruba self-determination movement is our leader, Professor Banji Akintoye. We therefore caution all Yoruba people to be wary of believing anything reported by other sources. Professor Akintoye will be making the official announcement of the Yoruba Big Rally in the coming weeks through the official website www.ysdm.org. We urge our faithful Yoruba public to wait patiently for his release. In the meantime, we ask you to be vigilant in your avoidance of being misled by false claims from unauthorized persons. Signed, Kayode Emola, Secretary, Directorate of Diplomacy, YSDM, and the Press Secretary to Professor Banji Akintoye, the Yoruba leader, 23rd, 2022. Now the question is, where are we now? And this was released today. I just got it right now as we are in this live broadcast. Since this statement have now come out as an official statement, the question then is, where is the movement as we speak right now? Remember that Professor Banji Akintoye, from what we have been told, is the chairman of the Yoruba Self-Determination Movement. And since they have now come out to debunk that declaration that has been in circulation in the last 72 hours, like I've said earlier, the question a lot of Yoruba people will now be asking, with this now coming out, is, where are we with the movement? Let me read some of your comments quickly, as now with the statement that has been released coming from the YSDM. Richard says, Atirogo. I can't read your comment, Riti, on Star Radio UK because it's got the F word. Adidapo say, Kolesheshe YSDM. Okay. Lily White say, accepted. Okay. Keep the comment coming. I'm just trying to put some of those statements for you on YouTube. We've been able to put that out on the other platform. Omobolaji said, don't let people in the world shame to us, because your declaration is giving me big heartbroken right now. James Lincoln said 5 million people who signed the declaration are making declaration. Mrs. Ojora said, YSDM, you're a joker, because MOA informed CSI before the declaration was done. Stop playing with our intelligence. Are we babies? We can't do two declarations. You can now see that there is now a lot of different. Let me read some of your comments on YouTube, on Instagram. Udi say, do you think that will take us serious if declaration coming separately and not once? So many people. Keep your comment coming. I'll be reading them as we have them. Abraham say, Mr. Koiki, may God help us. What is going on now is concern to a lot of people. And that is what I said when I started the program. This statement will be found on our timeline on all our platforms. We will not be able to take calls now, but we remember that when we are running our program, we might be taking calls to be able to clarify all this that is happening in the movement. Who gives the say of what needs to be done? Who has the right? Let me ask us this question. Who has the right to decide anything for us in this movement? And who gives that final right? 7:45 p.m. It is still a live broadcast on Star Radio UK, your finest. Good evening to those of you on the MixLR, as we know you're there as well. The Yorubas, what is now going on is the question in the minds of millions of Yorubas, especially those that disagree in the first place for the breakup of Nigeria. I'm going to go back into the politics of what is going on in Nigeria as we speak right now. There's a lot going on. Keep your comment coming. Temitope say, White Lion, Yoruba Nation. And I too will make my declaration YSDM very soon. Pastor Mo says, Bobo Walaoni right, as much as we know the way out of the mess. Abraham Oyebanji, Babakitoye, you say, the comment is now coming very fast. And I'm freedom for Biafra. What is Akintoye waiting for? I believe the unexplainable delay by Akintoye to make a declaration forced the declaration made on Monday. Okay. There is now a lot of comment. Let's go to the next platform and read some of your comment quickly as we have them coming very fast. I believe we are still on the road, sir. Oyeyemi, you're asking. Oluwatoyin said, this is really worrisome. And this is now the press statement coming from YSDM tonight, that the purported declaration is false and the Yoruba people should not listen to that. This is coming from the YSDM. Is this movement being toyed with in the heart of the millions of people? I wish we can take calls, but we can't because of our technical problem tonight. But when we run the program, probably maybe tomorrow sometimes, or probably if we have the strength tonight, if we can, if otherwise, it will have to be tomorrow. But you can read that full statement, and I'm going to read it one more time just for those that have just come through the broadcast. And this statement is coming from the Yoruba Self-Determination Movement. And it says, read Declaration of Yoruba Nation. We, the official Yoruba Nation, remember that the YSDM consists of 70 different groups. So is this now agreed by all the groups or what? Again, that will be something for us to ask. Because YSDM is a collection of groups, not an individual statement. So this statement now is coming on behalf of the group. We, the official Yoruba Self-Determination Movement, wish to respond to the claims that Yoruba Nation has been declared. Such claims were circulated widely on multiple social media platforms on Monday, 20th of November 2022, full stop. These claims are false. And when they say something is false, it's a very, very strong word. Not only misleading, again, that means we have been misled, but having the dangerous potential to destabilize the true and legal route of self-determination. Do you agree that this is now going to destabilize the legal route of the movement? Okay. Because we are a media and I have the right to analyze it just as I've just analyzed the Scottish by going back and forth. You don't decide how we do that here. Clement, thank you for the super chat and thank you so much. Esther Robinson, good evening. Casmo, you said the only declaration, I'm trying to get that, quite a lot of statement coming. Babakito is for 2023, it's coming from Olabode. Bemileke se Koiki, Otiye wa kan jare free not ishe 1993 ni one she. I can't understand that Yoruba. Kemi, this is heartbreaking. Can someone explain how the Yoruba declaration is false and it can destabilize the movement? The declaration is officially accepted. YSDM should follow the movement. Koiki, may you never get tired in Jesus Christ's mighty name. Amen. Quite a lot. Boye says, Koiki, good job, but the nation can't be declared in such a way. None will take Yoruba serious anymore. So this is coming from Instagram. Keep your comment coming. I'm reading the comment as I have there. Sunday Wale say, what is the way forward for Yoruba Nation? So these are all the questions now being thrown at us on this receiving end. But we're trying to manage all your comment as they're coming very fast. And maybe I should just reduce these so that I can take some of your comments as well from this section. The comments are coming very fast. So, Oyeyemi Oladebeji said, I believe we're still on the road. Please don't shame us. I have so many members of my family that believe we are dreaming. This is coming from Oluwatoyin Omolara Fatima. She says that so many of our family are thinking that we are dreaming and we should not. It has been declared. So what is the problem with YSDM is Ade Ake. James Lincoln said Baba Akintoye is more than the 5 million people who signed the petition. Koiki, Baba Akintoye is more than, I don't understand that, maybe you want to rephrase that. Keep your comment coming, and I'll keep that reading. Kamo Cynic on Olayomi Koiki on Instagram says, was the declaration done by Baba Akintoye? No, it was done by Chief Mrs. Modupe Onitiri on Monday. Comfort Ologunja. A tree can make a forest. Yoruba Nation declaration should be a joint effort, not one person's business. Saeed say Yoruba Nation now. Thank you, Mr. Koiki. Nice job. Oduatide Kitigbe. This Yoruba too much for me. Despite all the dramas, Yoruba Nation will stand and stand forever. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Igbowo we trust, coming from Kashmir. Oduatide, good evening, and the rest of you. Keep your comment coming. I'm reading those comments as I can see them. As quickly as they are, I think I should move to, because there's a lot of comment coming on the Facebook, on the other platforms, and then I need to pick those signals. Once again, a very good evening. Sorry for those of you that are watching us. There's a bit of a movement there. Okay. We just want to get some of your messages as it's coming very fast so that I can read them out, because we have different platforms that we are streaming on. Good evening to those of you on the Mixer. Keep your comment coming, and I'll be reading them out in random. If I don't read yours, don't get angry. Remember, it's just a random that we're picking the comment. And as I wait for that to load, you say Baba Akintoye is not more than 5 million people who signed the petition. The declaration is done by the 5 million people who signed the petition to exit from Nigeria. Better. Thank you so much, James Lincoln. Olabo, they say Baba Akintoye is not ready for 2022 declaration. Omotaya Ayola said they are nothing to tender when Mama asked them. Adeoye Aziz, Yoruba Nation now, please, when exactly is the declaration? Ismaila, well, you have it there when they say it's going to come up. Ismaila says, Nigeria now, Yoruba Nation now. So the question now on the table is, Dr. Benjamin Fondi said the declaration is a stamp of acceptance for the 5 million petition. Keep your comment coming, and I'll be reading them out. Mr. Ojora said, White Lion, Olodumare will continue to strengthen you. You shall not fall in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Becky Temitope said, Yoruba Nation declaration has been made on the 20th of November 2022, period, to heal. Well, I know you wanted to say something, but I won't use those words on Star Radio UK. Olabi says, everybody wants to gain ground instead of us to ask questions from the source. What next? Unity before declaration, we are not fools. Prince Adeola Olamilekon. Adeyamadeni says, these people are playing with fire. Idowu Michael says, for me, Mr. Koiki, I think Super Rally should be sparked out before declaration. Keep your comment coming. Now, the question I want to ask us, as we know we have a lot to discuss on that, but we still also have other areas that we wanted to talk about. Ejile, as we heard, was arrested in Turkey. But from what I got yesterday, precisely, from those that are close to the information. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, why do we have this? Oh, sorry about that. Okay. I didn't realize that the source of my broadcast was coming from there. Sorry, I was thinking, why do we have that screen? Apology to those of you that are watching us on all the platforms. You know, Sheguano says, on easy lies the head that wears the crown. Suru Lere. Thank you so much, my brother. Apology, I didn't realize that the source of my transmission was coming from the Star Radio UK Facebook page. So, and I wanted to be reading the comment from all our other brothers and sisters. Williams, Mark Conjola say, what really happened now? Please, I am in dark. Okay. We are ready for declaration, Ola Banji says. And keep the comment coming. Please, unity is really so important. Let's work this out. It's coming from Boye_GJ. Anna _HF Fargo says, think positive minded. Think positive minded, please. I know a lot of you now are asking questions. Please, we want to hear Baba's speech and CSI. is coming from Michael Awe says, YSDM is dreaming. Forget this hopeless group. It's coming from Mr. Michael O. Awe. Keep your comment and I'll be reading them, as we go into the conversation tonight. Once again, my name is Olayomi Koiki and this is Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. And the time is now 4 minutes past. Somebody say war is the only solution. Becky Temitope said the 5 million petition of Omolobi Yoruba Nation sign and declare our Yoruba Nation. God bless Yoruba Nation. You don't have to keep posting the same message. It's not good for the Facebook and the YouTube. I think Babakitoye and CSI should be notified if such declaration should be made. It's coming from Shalon Fried. Uluwale Adeni say, let's move on to the next level. Declaration has been made. Now, I want to go back to Ijile. Information that got to me yesterday says that the federal government has hand in the hold up to our brother that also been talking about the self-determination, using his platform to educate and enlighten everybody. And the question is, good evening to you, Adekun Adepoju. If the federal government have hands in the arrest of Marcos in Turkey, what is going to be the next move? Let us come into that first, because Ijile is one person that was working tirelessly day and night, afternoon, with the different time zone from his base in Turkey. But as we are getting that information that Ijile Marcos, that we have all heard that he has been in the hands of the Turkish authority. But information got to me that the federal government of Nigeria has hand in his arrest. What are we going to do to get him free? As much as we want to focus on this declaration, let us also remember that we have someone that has been detained, arrested in Turkey. And he's been there now for weeks. The other brother that was arrested in Nigeria we have been told that he was caught with some illegal substance, and that is why they're keeping him. And for him to be free, he would have to pay some such amount of money. How do we get Ijile out of the situation that he is at the moment? How are we going to do it? Remember that he has a family. He has children. And his only offense is that he was using his time and energy to talk about the self-determination. And it seems I don't see anybody care about Ijile. All I've been saying is people are more worried about the declaration while we have our brother held. I did not want to say so much about it because I didn't have a clear background to the case. But I've been able to be given a background for someone that is close to Ijile, that lives in Turkey. But as we speak tonight, he's still being detained because of every one of us. We all know the danger to what we are doing. There's no doubt that Ijile doesn't know that. He knows, likewise myself and the rest of the self-determination media that are campaigning for us to exit Nigeria. We have seen that it is not the first time that the government have done exactly what we are being told right now, that Ijile arrest in Turkey has got the hand of the federal government of Nigeria. Thank you so much, Chegun Honor. You say, my Yoruba people, Ejekamu Suru, we have 37 days left. Thank you for the super chat. How do we get Ijile to be free is the question that our leaders should be discussing as well. Because Ijile is one of us. If the federal government has got hand in Ijile, even though we are aware that it's there as against like Nnamdi Kanu, that nobody knew where he was until Nnamdi Kanu found himself in Abuja, and the case is now being established against him. Like I said, the intelligence that got to me says federal government have got hand in his arrest. And this is someone that lives in Turkey, that knows him very well, and the wife. So I am only going by what I have been told. I will not say more than that for now, but I just thought we should put that at the back of our mind, that Ijile is still there. Let's move swiftly to see what is going on again. As a lot of conversation going on, as those that are also campaigning continue to campaign, and the campaign went to Ibadan in Oyo State today. Even though the engineer are trying to bring the image of Ayo Adebanjo, but it seems that is not coming as we thought it would. Once again, a very good evening to every one of you that have joined us tonight. Do you agree that what Afenifere is doing right now is in the interest of the Yoruba people by supporting Peter Obi? As we have seen and heard that Afenifere, even though they are asking for restructure Nigeria, and since they are not getting the restructure Nigeria, they've decided to support the Southeast for the presidency that is taking place. What is your take with the Afenifere in support of Peter Obi? How do you understand and take that? Afenifere leader Chief Ayo Adebanjo on Wednesday today says it should be the turn of the Southeast to produce the next president in line with the agreement reached by the past Nigerian leader. According to him, both the North, the Southwest, and the South-South have produced presidents, while the Southeast has now been given the opportunity to steer the ship of the country. Full stop. Chief Ayo Adebanjo made the remark in Ibadan, Oyo State capital, during the campaign rally for the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, at the Lekan Salami Stadium at Damasinga, Ibadan. Talking about the ambition of the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Tinubu, Chief Ayo Adebanjo recalled that before Tinubu became the governor of Lagos State, he has supported him on several occasions during his two-term administration. When he was the governor of Lagos State, I supported him, and I did not hate him then. Why will I have the cause to now hate him? Adebanjo query. Tinubu cannot confront me on this. No people But only people that are benefiting from him, that are speaking ills of me, Adebanjo says. Meanwhile, Peter Obi, while speaking at the rally, highlighted the challenges of the country, which range from unemployment, drug abuse, and others, added that the challenges could be addressed by prioritizing the production. He says, we must secure and unite the country. When you secure the country, you are able to bring farmers to return to the farm. That alone will start addressing food inflation, as the bag of rice today is now 48,000 naira. By moving the country from consumption to production, you are moving people away from poverty. The exchange rate is 930 naira to a pound. The more you pull people out of poverty, the more you address criminality. Nigeria now has 13.8% drug prevalence against the global average of 5%. To deal with this crisis is production. We need to feed our people. As Yoruba people, what is our take? That the Afenifere have stood their ground that, like it or hate it, we are not supporting a Yoruba nation self-determination to break away from Nigeria. We will stick with Nigeria, and that is the only way out. Good evening to you, Waris Jinode. When Yoruba Nation Diaspora suspend the 23 billion annual foreign exchange into Naira, suspend all importation and exportation to location 9, Yoruba Nation will take it more seriously. With you thinking. Again, more comment on the Instagram by Boye. You say, Ijile and others are suffering on this Yoruba Nation. We need to know the fact of this declaration and rally. These people's suffering won't be in vain. Amen. Odua today say, Afemi Febi. Ending all over, my beautiful auntie says, they're all for politicians, and Babakinto is making things slow as well. All their actions are really tiring. Mickey Babs, good evening. Rachel Olutoye says, the Afenifere are jokers. They want OB on which constitution? On the 1999 constitution. Oyeyemi says, Mama did this because delay is very dangerous. Up Yoruba Nation. And then let's go to more comments. Comfort Adeleye, our mother, said rice is 52. Wow, I bought it 48,000 naira last week. So it's gone up with almost 8,000 or thereabout. Adeyemo Adeni said, the Lord fight for Mr. Ijile. Marcos, in Jesus' name. Bumi Adeleke says, any declaration should be followed by action. God bless Yoruba Nation. Idowu Michael said, at this point in time, Mr. Koiki, the politicians knew that it is all over for them. That is why they are putting more pictures of the citizens. But I believe that Eledumare will grant us our Yoruba Nation. Amotayo, one fair fee Ijile delay Yoruba Nation. Ni awon, I cannot say that word out on Star Radio. Akinwumi say, well done, sir. Peter Diniho, Samuel, so well done, sir. Politician just got 3 points over Yoruba Nation today because of ego. Wow. Quite a lot of you are commenting. We have 20 minutes before we wind down the program, and we can only say we appreciate everyone that have joined us so far. Adesina Adeyemo say the Baba Adebanjo is suffering from illness, amnesia, a farming policy when Fulani already invaded our forest, killing our food products. Muyiwa Osunuga say, if I may ask, don't we think that declaration can be useful for his defense? I mean, talking about Ijile. Well, somebody says that a lot of work is being done on the ground, and we are praying for our brother to get his freedom back. Igba Shoke, Yoruba people, freedom is not given but taken. Keep the comment flowing as we have 20 minutes before the end of tonight's program. Inwardly, Emmanuel says, sit at home and watch the outcome. To borrow ideas from Biafra is a way forward. Agbolatone says, let old rally for Ijile in Turkey embassy. That's the message from one of the person. Idea to Norian, so Yoruba Nation is sapping. As we are 20 minutes away from the live transmission on Star Radio tonight, I'd like to first again appreciate my producer, Mr. Frank David, and Mr. Archie, and the rest of our team. Tomorrow is the property hour. Make sure you stay tuned and let us all learn how to get into the property ladder tomorrow. Mrs. Comfort says Yoruba Nation leaders' unity is very important at this junction. Becky Temitope says Afenifere doesn't care about us, the Yorubas. Ola B, she said every comment will be reviewed in the future. There's no doubt in my mind about that. As we're going to be leaving us tonight, I hope by the time I come back next week, Wednesday, things will have been a little bit resolved with all the situation that is taking place, and a lot is happening. God's beloved, whoever makes any other declaration is only doing so for himself or herself. 20th of November 2022 is Yoruba People's Independence Day. Odua today, Akim Yusuf, good evening to those of you that have stayed with us. Katrina Aguda says, happy declaration to us all. Yoruba Nimi, Iwo the Siratom can work in Yoruba land because we have more than 300 ethnic groups living in each state of Yoruba. Mrs. Esther Robinson, congratulations to all the Yorubas all over the world. Titi Olu, congratulations to all the Yoruba Nation indigenous. Tonight on Star Radio UK, I've been able to take you through the referendum that the people of Scottish were expecting next year, because it was meant to be next year. That is not guaranteed anymore from the ruling of the Supreme Court in the United Kingdom. What next is going to be for the Scottish people on how they will get an independent without a referendum. We also wanted to use the referendum route, but a lot of people say that is not going to work. And as usual, many questions now is, as the days are becoming, I think somebody gave us the countdown, I think about 37 or 47 days left before the end of the year. We have not been told that there's not going to be the outcome that will lead to a super rally in terms of an announcement. But everybody now is unhappy with the way the situation is going. Well, Mrs. Adeshola says, Mr. Koiki, declaration or no declaration, what is the way forward now? Everything is cloudy. And I think somebody says the unity is something that needs to now be formidable before we become a laughing stock to the international community and those politicians in Yoruba land. The unity for all our leaders is now something that needs to be united and resolved. And then things will not become cloudy. Prince Adiola says we are already a laughing stock. Pastor Momo say Ominira yi kuku sheshe fun awa ọmọ Yoruba. Thank you so much, as I'm now 15 minutes before the end of the program tonight. Thank you, BB Ray. You say well done, Baba. Thank you to all our team that are working around the clock. Let me read some of the comments that we've probably not been able to pick from the other platforms quickly. Akinwande says, Ìtàn ni gbogbo wa kọ sílẹ̀. Ọmọ́tayọ̀ Ayọ̀lá say, àwọn arábìnrin ti múlẹ̀. This Yoruba is too much for me. Kenny Adilani says, Afenifere can divide with Nigeria for all I care. Yoruba nation has come to stay. So you can see that a lot of our people are so not happy with the Afenifere. Oluwabukola, strange, these feelings I am feeling about Oduduwa nation, we always believe, I know many think our faith is in vain, but our new nation will chant. Dr. Igbowosha, White Lion, Dr. Isodegbo will soon declare our new nation. I'm just reading some of those comments so that you are not saying we didn't pick your comment. Adewale says the declaration made was fantastic. It is authorized, authenticated us to move for super rally and to be led by our CSI. Whoever attacked the rally will consider as invaders. It was not declared by Mamani Abiola, but 8 people on Yoruba soil and had been documented to appropriate channel. Thank you so much, Olawepo M. Larry. But Mamani Abiola said no country will come out now until, okay, I think I've read that already. Adisa, let me not massacre your name. You say, God bless my brother Koiki Media. Thank you so much. Bello Abdullahi, Yoruba Nation not going back. Good evening to those of you if you're watching me from the northern part of Nigeria as well. And a lot of you that are listening to us on the Mix LR. I'm going to be handing over in the next 13 minutes. There is a lot that people are already discussing regarding all these situations. We don't need their names, but we want assurance. Thank you so much on the Instagram. And as you can tell, a lot of people are asking me questions. Kilo Shele, Kilo Shele. And to move this forward, James Lincoln say again, 5 million people who signed the petition made the declaration. Thank you so much. Mrs. Ojora Elizabeth, good evening. Akin Yusuf, good evening. And if I haven't mentioned your name, please bear with me as the comments are very fast. To everyone that have joined me tonight, before I go to Mr. Koiki, I'd like you to use wisdom and maturity given to you by God to successful of Yoruba Nation movement. We are trying our ultimate best behind the scene. God will free Jile. Mommy Onitiri has declared Yoruba Nation. I am delighted. Let someone else also declare the Super Rally Day. Respect to all our genuine leaders. Iyalo Day 20. 12 minutes before the end of the program, remember that I am here every Wednesday where we discuss everything regarding Nigeria, the indigenous people, the Biafra people, the Arewa people, all the freedom lovers around the world, the Scottish people, the Welsh people that wants to have their independence, and whether that is going to come true yet or not. The next step is a mega super rally. I agree with you, James Lincoln. Titi Olu, we have all gotten to the end of the challenges and experience. If things are difficult, this way means success at the end of the tunnel. There's no doubt in my mind. Niger Voices is something I have been doing for the last 5 years. We love all our African listeners from Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Cameroon, Senegal, Gambia, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, our sisters, our brothers. We are the Yoruba people, the indigenous people that are now saying we would love to be on our own without being part of Nigeria. So in case you've been hearing, a lot of all these conversations, you're reading the comment and you're lost in between. As Nigerians are also gathering to host an election in 2023, the Biafras are saying that election is not the way forward. Adeke say, why is there? Please bring out your own idea and we will work with you. Don't discredit someone else's vision. That is not fair to the Yorubas. Declaration without action, film trick, super rally, real declaration loading. God bless Dr. CSI is coming from Kashmir. Aziz Adeosun, declaration is made now. We are now ready for the super rally. All it says, unity, unity, unity. We love all our leaders, but they have to be united to take us out. Goye says, unity is the key among the Yoruba, and I cannot agree less with you. Without the unity, it's going to be a very rough road. And if they're going to work separately, Nigeria is a big elephant. But it seems not everybody buy that idea like me. I would have loved it to be killed or to be allowed for us to disintegrate. Mrs. Moji Adesina says, freedom for Jile is not a criminal, and I believe so myself. I'm going to be handing back in the next 9 minutes, not even 9 minutes, next 6 minutes to the studio. Fatal Gumefon, well done. We need to get our identity back. You want to write, but you actually wrote identify. I believe it's, the keyboard or the phone. Esther Badari, you send a lot of love. As the Super Rally is getting ready, let us continue to support our communities within our own state. The medical equipment, the food, the music, all the necessary arrangement to make it a fun fair when the announcement will be done very soon. Mrs. Elizabeth Adesina said, let Babakitoye keep secret. Mrs. Lisa, that's Olayomi, thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much as well, my beautiful auntie. As I'm going to be heading out now, remember I'll be back next week once again. As we say here, it is no retreat, no surrender. My name again hasn't changed. If you're watching me from any part of the world, yes, Victor Gile say Ijile Marcus TV will bounce back by God's grace. Odua today, good evening once again to every one of us. If you're trying to get hold of me, just to ask same question, maybe you might want to listen to this broadcast again or listen to the one I've done this morning. But there's a lot of people who want to ask questions directly. But at this stage, we will continue to talk to you in all groups like these, because it will be difficult to stay on the phone with 3 people, 5 people, 20 people in a day for 20, 30 minutes trying to talk to me. I know a lot of you want to ask me questions about what is going on, what the situation is, but like I said, we will try to make sure that we are on air continuously. Even some people say I was deliberately off air last week, maybe for a reason known to me. You have the right to say whatever you want to say. But one thing is, our belief from my end is the Yoruba nation will exit this year. And there's no doubt in my mind. You might be the one that is doubting, but not me, because I am not in any doubt at all. So as we now say to every one of us, let us prepare for everything that we know a lot is about to happen, and it's coming bit by bit. As a lot of you wants to ask questions, maybe you might want to join the Yoruba World Media weekly update town hall meeting that is also going to be coming up in the next few, or is already on as we speak right now. So the Yoruba World Media is currently hosting their town hall meeting, and I'm sure they'll be having conversations that will pertain to the movement that you might probably want to join them. I'd like to say we appreciate you all for staying tuned with us throughout the program tonight. My name is Olayomi Koiki, and as we say to everyone, Odaro, I remain yours, truly, as it says. But remember that this job has to be done by every one of us. Thank you so much And I'm going to hand over now to the control in the studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Archie, Frank Davey. And tomorrow, make sure you stay tuned to the property hour for those of you that wants to go into having your own properties in the United Kingdom. If you've sent a message to me, you might have to be a little bit patient because there's a lot of messages that's coming out that people wants to ask questions. But like I said, the movement has not been something that we should be worried about, but definitely there are concerns that people are asking from all ends. Odaro.